Okay, so today we consider the aspect of equation, which is different from what we have been looking at before now. Before now, all we have been doing centered on the aspect of expressions. But when you talk about equation always contains two expressions. One expression to the left, then one to the right. Or expressions. But what we are trying to bring out is that under equations, we always have equal sign. We have equal sign. We may have an expression or some expressions to the left and another expressions to the right. So equal sign will always look like boundary between them. Just like imagine the boundary between the US and Canada. So we have this equal sign will serve as their boundary. If anybody, I'm saying again, hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
So any movement from Canada into the US will change the sign. That is migration. And migration means it's not everybody from Canada that will move to US at the same time. No. Some people from Canada will move to US, that is migration, while some people from US will also move to Canada. In this case, those who are moving, those who left their country with negative sign, when they get to where they are going, the sign will change to positive. Those who left their country, maybe someone left US with positive, on getting to Canada, it will change to negative. But if your movement, the rearrangement is still within your country, you have not, go over the equal sign, it will still remain the same. If you have not gone over the equal sign like this, you have not, move across it. So it will still be the same. So what I'm trying to say here is that suppose I have 5x minus 1 equals to maybe 8 plus x. And you want to, we want to collect items, right? So if you want to collect items here, please, I want you to look at this very well. It's different from the one we have been doing before. It's just movement within a particular territory. That is an expression. There's nothing like going over equal sign there. But for this one, you want to leave, this is equal sign now. This is like the boundary. This equal sign is like the boundary between the two countries. So if this x, if this x moves to the left, that means that this territory now, I say you see it as Canada, and this place you see it as USA. So if this x is going to the left, this is positive when it was in Canada, it's going to the left. So because this 5x is already in US, so it will be 5x. But that x that is coming to meet it will come in as minus x, because it was positive in the original country. When it gets to the next country, it will change to negative. Then in Canada, since x has left, you only have 8 left in that country. So that 8, right? That one the sign does not change, because since it doesn't travel, it didn't travel, the sign will still remain. Now, also, since 8 and this one, both of them don't have variable. This one is coming to Canada. Yes? I want to hear your question.
Well, I was going to say that since that X switched with the one was going to go in the X place.
Yes, exactly. It's going to its place. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to connect it with migration between, two countries. So this -1 now is coming to the right. It will become +1 there. So that this one now, they are now like terms. You can say 5x minus 1x will give us 4x. Then you can say 8 plus 1 will give us 9. Then you continue the solving from there. So these are many more I want to quickly examine together. So let's take examples. Example 1. Solve these equations. The A part of the equation says you want to solve for 5y equals to 30. And the B part of the equation says we have 18 equals to 6x. And the C part is saying that you have -2c equals to 8. How can we solve these equations? They are equations because this is expressions where you have equal sign somewhere in between. So it has become equation. The first one we want to solve, we say the first one under A, we have 5y equals to 30. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, look at what we want to do now. We have 5y equals to 30. Anytime you have something like this, you know this 5 to y, what do we call this 5? This is what we call coefficients, right?
Yes.
And in solving equation entails finding the value of the letter, finding what the unknown, which is this y, represents. What does it represent? What figure does it represent? What value does it represent? So this one is like 5 times something, that unknown, see it as something. 5 times something equals to 30. What is that something? What is that something supposed likely to be?
6.
6. That means the value of y is 6 there. The value of y is 6. But what we just said now is because this equation is so simple, that is why we're able to quickly guess what the value of y is. We have some equations that you need to take like 4 or 5 steps before you get the answer. This one is just one step it's required. And in that case, the answer is 6. But we are not just writing it directly. If it is multiple choice, you write that. But if it is theory that you need to show, okay, you will now say, since I want to find the value of y, it's like I'm a doctor. I need to protect my patient. The patient is this letter y. And the problem that the patient has presently, the ailment of this patient is 5. How do I remove this 5? You know, if you go to a pharmacist, maybe someone has headache. The drug for headache is different from drug for maybe some other thing, maybe stomachache or body pain and things like that. Is that not?
Yes.
Okay. So since what we want to remove here, the ailment here is coefficient. Anytime you are removing a coefficient, you divide both sides by that coefficient. Why are we dividing both sides? Because this 5y is like 5 times y. And for you to remove something connected with another by multiplication. So you do the opposite of multiplication. Opposite of multiplication is what? Is division. So that is why we now say, we want to remove that 5. We now say divide both sides by 5. If anybody asks you, why are you dividing both sides by 5? You will tell them that because 5 is the coefficient of y. Because 5 is the coefficient. This question I will ask you oftentimes. Please don't forget. So we'll now go back to our equation. We'll write 5y equals 30. And since we say divide both sides means the left side of equal sign, what you have there, divide it by 5. The right side of equal sign, what you have there, divide by 5. When you do that, the essence is for this 5 and this 5 to cancel. Since your objective, your target is to isolate letter Y, to make letter Y alone, stand out. So this 5 will cancel this 5. Cancel 5 means 5 here 1, 5 here 1. If you say 1 times y, you have only y left. If you say that y divided by 1, you still have y. So you now say 30 divided by 5, that will give you 6. That means the value of y is 6. You know, that was what we said initially when we said 5 multiplied by something gives 30. What was that something?
6.
5 multiplied by 6 gives 30. So anytime you want to remove a coefficient, you divide both sides by that coefficient. Don't forget what we just did. You divide both sides by a coefficient if the coefficient is what is left for you to remove from a variable, from the letter you want to find value for. So this is what we mean by solve. And nobody solves an expression. For example, the one before, I can just say evaluate. If I give you something like maybe 3x minus 9x, nobody will give you solve for this one. The word solve is wrong for it, because you can never find the value of x here. This is just an expression. There's nothing like maybe equal sign between somewhere. So this is not an equation, it's just an expression. So they can only tell you simplify. Simplify. Or we use the general word that we use that can be used for either expression or equation, which is evaluate. So it is only equation that we solve. When you are done copying there, let me know quickly.
Okay. Okay. I'm done.
All right. A big part. We have 18 equals to 6x. 18 equals to 6x. If you look at this, one, 18 equals to 6x, meaning that if you want to find the value of x, x is there. This is also an equation. What will you say?
What?
When they ask you to solve, if you want to solve this, it's like solving means you want to find the value of the letter that you have in that equation, which is x. You look at this x. What is the obstacle to this x that you need to remove? Hello? Is there any number? Is there any number attached to this letter x that you need to remove from here so that only x will remain in the right in Canada? Huh?
6.
6, yes. And that 6, fortunately, is a coefficient. How do we remove coefficient? What do we say when we want to remove coefficient? What statement do we make?
So we have to say divide
Very
both
good.
sides. So we divide both sides by x.
No, by 6. What you want to remove is what you divide both sides by. Divide both sides. Both sides means both sides of the equation. That is the left side and the right side. You know, by the time you divide this right side by 6, it means that that 6 will cancel out. Both sides by 6. So don't forget that you have 18 equals to 6x. Divide both sides means the two sides, the left side divided by 6, the right side divided by 6. And you know, the essence is so that this 6 can cancel this 6. You know, it's x we are protecting. It's x we want to find value for. So you must not divide both sides for x. It's just like someone has headache and the person went to the doctor. The doctor will not spare headache and kill the patient now. The doctor will try and, you know, kill the headache and protect the patient and protect the person. So you are protecting this letter X. So it is the ailments, that problem that X has that you are removing. So you divide both sides by 6, not by X itself. So what do we now have left here? You now have on the left, we have 18 divided by 6. What do we have?
18 divided by 6 equals 3.
Equals 3. Equals so. Since 6 already has cancelled out 6 here, you have, what do you have left to the right?
2x.
X. And you have just achieved your aim because you want to isolate letter X in its country so that it stands alone. But the interpretation of this is that if 3, look at this, if 3 equals to X, that means X equals to 3. Can we conclude that statement? If 3 equals to X, it means that X equals to 3. It's like if there is a friend that is born exactly the same day, the same time with you. If they said that person is your age, is your, apart from being age mate, that the person has equal age as you. That means you too, you have equal age as the person, isn't it? So we now conclude that therefore, if 3 equals to X, this means X2 equals to 3. So since it is X they ask us to find, in our conclusion, we must say that X equals to so. We have this. Let's quickly copy that down.
Okay. I'm done.
Okay, very good. So the C part of this is negative 2C equals 8. You know, if you are solving equation, your target is to protect that letter that is there and remove every other thing around that letter, every other figure around that letter. You ensure you remove them. But the process of removing each figure around the letter you are protecting or you want to isolate differs. For example, if the figure you want to remove is a coefficient, you divide both sides by 8. If you divide both sides and someone is asking you, why are you dividing both sides? You tell the person, because that thing I'm removing there, which is, for example, in this case is -2, is a coefficient. So here now we want to remove that -2 so that only letter C can stand out. You say divide both sides by -2. So both sides, you understand what brings about sides now, two sides, is the presence of this equal sign. And it is because of this equal sign that we bring out equal. From the word equal, we generate this now we call equation. So when you now say both sides, they mean both sides of the equal sign, the left side and the right side. That's what you are dividing both sides, that you are dividing by 2. The value we have at the left side of equal sign, you divide it by this coefficient. The value we have at the right side of the equal sign, we divide it by the coefficient. And the coefficient in this case is -2. And why is it the coefficient we are dividing both sides by? Because is the one that, because it's the one that is attached to this letter, to this C that you want to find. And we are dividing. We are not adding. We are not subtracting. Why is it that we are dividing? We are dividing because the connection between that coefficient and the letter we want to find is multiplication. It is -2 times C that gives -2C. So if you want to remove anything, since this one multiplies this and you want to remove it, you do the inverse, the opposite. To remove it, you divide by that same thing so that it will cancel out. So from here, we have -2C equals to 8. We now divide this side by -2. We divide this side by -2. So the essence is that, okay, look at this one. Since -2, negative, we cancel -2, we cancel 2. So in that case, you now have C left. You have only C left there, is that not?
Yes.
Okay, so C, after this C, you write your equal sign. Your equal sign must always be in between. Must always be in between. That is, must always create the left side and the right side as you are walking down. Now, for this right part, can you use your previous knowledge here? What's the value of +8 divided by -2? Use your previous knowledge of what we have been doing.
Equals -4.
That is correct. Can you explain how you got your answer?
Okay. So if we see, like I said earlier, it's like we are multiplying,
Exactly.
and if we,
I'm listening. I'm trying to corroborate what you are saying.
and if we look at the 2, it says -2, so we know that 2 is negative. And if we look at the 8, there's no sign there. And when there's
that
no
implies
sign,
positive, right?
yes.
Okay.
And negative times positive equals negative. So
the same thing. Positive, since positive times negative is negative, positive divided by -2 will be negative, right?
yes.
So positive here divided by this negative is negative according to the law. So we'll now use 8 divided by 2 will now give us 4, so that the answer will now be -4. Perfect. I want you to copy that.
Okay. I'm done.
Okay. So we'll go to the second aspect. I mean, example 2. Of the following equation. So we have A Okay, let's stop at just this two. Let's do this one first. Let me have that C now. Okay, if you look at what we have there, when you are done writing, when you are set for explanation, let me know.
When I'm already done.
Okay, very good. So the first part, we have x plus 2 equals to 10. Can you tell me in what way is this equation different from the one we have under example 1?
So how they do different is because of the answers.
Okay. In the previous one, you know, in the previous one, you would have had it like this one. Maybe something like 2x equals to 10. And look at this one. The equation here is different from the equation here. In the left side of this second equation, you can see that this 2 is a coefficient. But in the equation we want to solve now, this positive 2 is a coefficient to x? No, it's not a coefficient. A coefficient is something that multiplies another thing. This positive 2 here is not multiplying x. They stand separately. So in this left-hand side of this equation, we will say there are 2 terms there. This one is one term, it's like one household. This one is another term. This is an individual, this is another individual. But this one, both of them stand together. Both of them stand together as a term, as one term, because they already multiply. If you multiply, if you say A plus B minus C, there are 3 terms here, 3 terms, 3 values, 3 individuals, 3 entities. But a situation whereby you have A times B times C, because A times B times C will give you A, B, C. You remember, under multiplication, there's nothing like, they are not like terms, that is how they will remain. If it is this one now, you can add them, you can subtract, they will remain like this. That means they will remain as 3 separate terms. But this one, A times B times C, from what we did before, will give us ABC. And ABC has come together as a single term, as a single value. So you have that there. So because that 2 there is not a coefficient, you don't say divide both side by 2 in in this example A here, in this one. So you will not say divide both sides by 2 because the 2 here is not a coefficient. That is, this 2 does not multiply x. What do we now do? Since we say when you are solving equation, you must ensure you isolate the letter you want to find. You protect that letter you want to find. And every other thing around that letter, you move them away or you remove them. What do we do to remove these 2 now? Because it is this 2 that is with the letter we want to find. It is this positive 2 that is with that letter. How do we remove it? And that positive 2 is not a coefficient, does not multiply this. Suppose it's multiply this, we'll do the opposite, which is division. But since it's added to it, what's the opposite of addition? What is the inverse?
So the inverse.
What's the opposite of addition? What sign is the opposite of addition?
Subtraction.
Subtraction. So we'll now subtract these 2 from both sides. But the idea we want to take in solving this equation is that instead of saying subtract 2 from both sides, we'll just say collect like terms, so that we rearrange the terms that are alike. We put them in the same place. So collect like terms. There's no other term that has letter x. So this x will remain in the left side, right? It's x. We want to move that 2 to the right. You now say equals to, this 2 will travel to the right. Since at the right, we have 10 there already. The one that is already there, please write it. Although it's not compulsory, you can write the one that is coming, but the one that is already there in that country, if I'm traveling to your country there, those who are there already there, so write it first. Then someone who is coming will go and join them there. So because this one is positive now, where in its country, by the time it lands in the foreign country, it becomes negative. So that is the difference between expression we have been doing before. That one is just within one territory. If you collect like terms, the sign does not change. But anything that has to do with migration that has made you to leave your country for another place, so the sign will change. And this one will now give us x equals to 10 minus 2 is 8. What was the value?
What is the value of x and 5 plus x negative 3 plus 8x?
Equals to? Equals to what? That's what we had there. So first of all, let's collect like term within. Let's first simplify. Is that clear? This left-hand side, the expression on the left-hand side, you can first simplify. And if you don't want to do that, you can move straight and say collect like terms. Collect like terms. If you like, you can do that. So we can do it differently. Let's first simplify here. Here we have on the left side, within the country. If you are within your country, you don't have any child, you don't need any document to live there and things like that. So for this one now, we have 5 minus 3. I'm moving the like terms together. This negative 3 and this 5, I move them together. Here I have positive x and I have positive 8x. So I move them together. And on the right, I have 26 plus x. So let me simplify. What is 5 minus 3? Positive 5, negative 3.
So, okay, positive 5, negative 3. That's going to be positive 2.
Positive 2, very good. 2. Then you now come here. What about x plus 8x? X plus 8x, what will it give you?
9x.
Positive 9x. You know, we already have 2 there, so you cannot just write 9x like this, so that it will not look like as if you have written like 29x. So you write it as positive 9x. Then you now say equals to 26 plus x. And you know you cannot add x to 26 because they are not like terms. From here, what do we want to do now? There will be migration. Before, we just do internal rearrangement. Internal rearrangement does not change positive to negative or negative to positive because it's not migration. Do you get? Migration is when you migrate from your region to another region. But this one is still a movement within their territory, within their immediate territory there. So for this one now, we want these terms in x to stay to the left and terms without x to stay to the right, or vice versa. That is, if you like, you can let all 2 and 26 be to the left, while this 9x will go and join x to the right. Anyhow you want it. Just say collect like terms. Rearrange terms so that you can simplify them into each of them into single terms. So collect like terms. So from here now, what this means is that I want this 9x. If I write 9x, this positive 9x, which is same thing as 9x, this x to the right of equal sign, this x, which is already located to the right of equal sign, I'll move it to the left. It will migrate to the left, which is negative x. You see that I changed the sign. The moment you move, can you see what I'm doing? The moment you move a term, if it is positive, it will get to where it's going and become negative there. We now say equals to the right. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, to the right, we already have 26. So what are we moving to join 26 on the right? What figure is coming to join 26?
X.
I can see you are not following again. Can you explain up to this level how we got this value up to this place? Can you explain quickly?
So
On this place, down here, up to this place. I want to know those that you understand it.
okay. So
Listening is very important. Do you hear me? You pay attention, look at it, because they will say evaluate you. They will ask you questions on what has been taught. Here I said you can first simplify. You can see them how I underline them with this blue line. I said for this, first simplify them. Those that are like, those without letter, move them together. That is why this 5 and this -3 comes together here. Then this x and this 8x also come together here. You now say 5 minus 3, you gave me 2, and x plus 8x gives 9. Since to the right, we have there equals to 26 plus x, 26 plus x. And now say from this level now, we collect like terms because you can't add 2 and 9x, they are not like terms. You can't add 26 and x, they are not like terms. So from here now, we want to collect like terms. If you want to collect like terms, to the left, we have 9x left. You now move this x to go and join 9x to the left. So you have 9x minus x. You now say equals to the right, we have 26 there already. I now say what figure are we moving to come and join 26 on the right? On the right side. What is coming to join 26 on the right?
Okay. So what is coming to join 26 on the right is it is positive x.
Look at all the look at everything here first. Look at everything that we have here. Which one have we not written in the second line? Which one?
The 2.
Why are you now saying x? We have written this 9x is there. We have written it. X here on the right has moved to the left and become negative there. We have written it. This 26 that is already on the right, we have written it. The only one that is coming to join 26 here is that 2 that we have not written. And when that 2 gets to the right, do we write it as +2 or -2? Is it -2 or +2 when it lands, when it's left this place for this right hand side of equal sign?
Yeah. So that's going to be +2.
Why is it +2?
Well, it is +2 because if you look at 2, so if those
-2 is -2. I told you, when you leave your country to another place, moment you jump over this equal sign, the sign you were coming with will change.
Oh.
If you're coming with positive to change to negative, you're coming with negative to change to positive. Look at this positive x. When it landed on the left side, because we need to move it to go and join 9x there. When that positive x landed on the left side, it becomes -x. The same thing, this +2, when it gets to the right, it becomes -2. So you now say, what is now, can you simplify this one now? Because they are now like terms. 9x minus x will give you what?
9x minus x gives you 8x.
8x. Then you write your equal sign. Equal sign, you always have it in between the two expressions, or in between the two sides rather. So 26 minus 2.
24.
At each stage, you must know what to do. So on this stage now, what do we do? If you have 8x equals to 24, what do we do? If you have 8x equals to 24, what do we do?
We are going to divide both sides by 8.
Yes.
By 8.
Divide both sides by 8. So that means where you have 8x equals to 24, divide both sides by 8 means divide this side by 8 and divide the right side by 8 too. And with that, this one will take care of each other, so that you have x equals to 24 divided by 8 will give you 3.